Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I am Geneva Rose. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and if you've already been subscribed or you've been watching lots of my videos, thank you so much for tuning back into today's video. So without further ado, like always, let's just get right into it. This video, I just want to freestyle. I just want to talk about what's in my heart, what's going on in the world, within me, just everything. We are at the precipice of just such a huge moment in history, and just being on the planet right now, being alive for this moment is of so much importance, and it's just so much more than I feel like so many of us realize, unless you're just aware of, I feel like, I hope this doesn't sound pretentious in any way, but just aware of like the spiritual shifts that are happening here on the planet. And the reason that I also want to mention so much of the spiritual shifts, because this is just reflected in what is going on in the outcry for social justice and equality and liberation and freedom of all oppressed people, economic equality, social equality, gender equality. All of these are reflections of the truth of spirit. All of these are reflections of the love of source, of the love and the freedom of being tapped into that higher power, to that higher essence, to those higher planes. I feel that the spiritual shifts that we are experiencing right now and will continue to experience, and that are literally been prophesied, they are all reflected throughout every single one of us, and they are all reflected in the world. And I know at times, especially right now, as we watch the genocide happening in Palestine, and also the devastation that is happening in Sudan and all over the world, that we just may not be privy to, we may have no idea about, especially here in the Western world, especially here in America. We, for the most part, we don't have any idea what's going on outside of the four walls of our state. And in some ways that can be great, because it is very important to focus on what you can locally change, and that becomes a bigger shift for around the world. But at the same time, through watching this genocide, I have just seen how we have just become so disconnected from one another. We don't see the outcry and the pain of other people in other parts of the world, because we're just so focused on our own world. We don't feel like we need to know about what's going on, or we just accept it as just a part of life, that there is inequality and that there is just devastation and that there's just so much, food disparity and homelessness. We just accept that it's okay, and as long as we can hold on to our little sliver of happiness, that makes it all okay. And this is where I'm going to go back into spiritual liberation, because it is not okay. Until all of us are free, none of us are free. And this is why the spiritual liberation is so important, because this is the essence of all the shifts that are happening right now. This fundamental change that we are all going through, this gut-wrenching process of facing all the darkness that has been hidden in the world, that's been hidden from us, but in a lot of ways we've been ignorant to, we've ignored, we've pretended that it wasn't there. This is part of the spiritual awakening. It's saying there is no more places to hide. There is no more darkness that you can just ignore. You can't ignore, what's going on in the world, and that reflects what's going on within us. You can't ignore those health problems that you're going through. You can't ignore those feelings. You can't ignore that trauma. You can't ignore that relationship. You can't ignore that pain. You can't ignore the pain that you're in, the trauma that you're in, and think that everything's just going to be okay. Same as reflected in the world. We can't ignore the injustice that we faced on so many different levels, on a systematic level, on an emotional level, mental level. We cannot ignore the pain that we all go through individually and collectively, and think that if we can just have a little bit of happiness day by day, it's all going to be okay. No, we are all deserving of true happiness. We are all deserving of true health and wealth and freedom and peace. We are all deserving of that. We're all deserving of the freedom to dream, of the freedom to believe in more possibilities. We are all deserving of great things. But until we address that within ourselves and within the collective, we cannot do that. We cannot move forward in true harmony unless we create true harmony within ourselves and true harmony within the world, within every single person that is oppressed, that is depressed, that is going through serious injustice. We have to face those issues so we can revolutionize this world and we can move towards a world of real freedom and equality and happiness and health and wealth and prosperity. I have just been so overcome with emotion and feeling and just the need to speak right now, the need to rally, the need to unite, the need to inform, the need to learn and educate myself more and more about what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in Sudan, what's going on all over the world that I've ignored, that I've pretended. And I also am just been talking a lot about how we as a society have been ignoring a lot of things that are going on because it's too much for us to bear. But I have noticed that's also in myself as well. There are so many times where there'll be a global crisis or something awful that's happening, and I may kind of see it, but a lot of times I'll just turn away because it's too much for me to see. And I have really recognized how awful that truly is. Yes, we are not meant to sit there and look at awful things happening constantly, especially when you can just look at it from your phone, from your device, from your laptop, from your TV. You can see people dying, you can see people killed, murdered. We are not meant to see that constantly. But at the same time, I have recognized that in that looking away, in that pretending that it's not there and that I'm okay, it's not okay. It's not okay that there are people hurting and that we have the power to do something about it. It's not okay that here in America and all over the world, we can ignore it and pretend that it's not there and think that it's just going to be okay. It's not okay. It's time for all of us to take part in the revolution, to take part in the spiritual awakening, to take part in the awakening to wellness, to well-being, to care, for compassion for one another. We need love for ourselves and for each other more than ever. I have just been in so much just turmoil, just recognizing how much there still is so much healing and so much love that is still needed to be given to each and every one of us on an individual level, but also on a collective level. Now more than ever, it's important to recognize your place, my place, our place in the revolution, our place in spiritual awakening. I feel like for so long, I thought maybe not everyone spiritual awakens, not everyone, shifts, grows, evolves to this higher plane. But I have since realized that that is not true. We are all awakening. So whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the planet is changing to a higher dimension of consciousness. We are shifting. The world is changing. The world is awakening. The world is seeing. The world is recognizing. So you can pretend it's not happening because you're used to your norms, but it is happening. And it is time that we all take part in this collective change, in this spiritual change, in this shift that is happening here on the planet. It is time that we all revolutionize. And I feel like lately, especially over the past week, I've been saying revolution a million times, but that's exactly what this is. This is a revolution. This is a revolution of self. It is time for us all to be able to have the freedom to live our dreams, to have health care, to have the money, to have a home that we love and we enjoy, to not have to slave 70% of our life away to work for companies and businesses that don't care about our well-being, to be living below means, to be struggling day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. We are not made to live that way. We are meant to live in true freedom and in true peace. And this is why the spiritual liberation is so reflected in social justice, in equality, in financial justice, in financial stability, in housing, in everything, because it is the reflection of the liberation and the freedom of the spirit. And the liberation and freedom of the spirit reflects out into all of humanity. And I just want everyone to recognize this. So many of us do, but so many of us don't. It is time for us all to step into our place to make this world a better place, to make this world more reflective of the love that is truly inside of us, of the peace that is truly inside of us, of the love and peace that is truly inside of spirit. It is time. It has been time. We have all been suffering for way too long. All of us, every single one of us, unless you are the 1%, unless you are the privilege of the privilege that get to ignore what's happening because you're happy living inside your multi-million-dollar mansion while people are struggling on the side of the street. You're happy to not speak on genocide because you're comfortable with the brands that are supporting the war. You're not going to speak out against injustice because you're living in happiness. You're not going to speak out against the things that are awful because you're ignoring them. You're not going to speak out against, the pain of the world because you don't believe it's really happening. I'm so full of so much emotion right now and so much anger and passion. It's time. It's been time. We've all been going through this process on a cellular level, on a societal level, on a spiritual level. We've all been experiencing these shifts. If you're a person who maybe doesn't consider yourself to be going through a spiritual awakening, I also implore you to ask yourself, look at the ways in which the past few years you have changed. Maybe you've become more aware of natural remedies. Maybe you've learned to heal some of your trauma. Maybe you've learn to communicate more effectively. Maybe you've become more in touch with your emotions. Maybe you have been questioning your religion. Maybe you have been questioning the things that you eat or the information that you constantly digest on the news. Whatever it is for you, I want you to think about how you've been shifting over the past few years. And if you are someone who's very aware of the spiritual awakening that you have been going through, I want you to step even deeper into that. And if you're someone, like I was just saying, who maybe doesn't recognize yourself going through a spiritual awakening, you can recognize the shifts that have been happening for you over the past few years. That is all reflective of the collective and spiritual change that is happening. It is time for us all to be free. It is time for us to be free. It is time for us to be living on the basis of equality and liberation and freedom that we were all destined to live in, because that's what our spirits are. That's our truth. And I know for myself, I feel like I've been living in a certain frequency for so long that sometimes I can be so disconnected from the world around me because I'm living in my own reality of peace and equality and connection. I'm living in that frequency. I'm attracting that frequency. I'm manifesting it for myself and the world around me. But it's time for each and every one of us to step deeper into that, to step deeper into our role of helping one another, of sharing light with one another, of sharing light with ourselves, to be more kind and compassionate and loving and put freedom for all and freedom for ourselves at the forefront of our mind. It's time for us to let go of these little slivers of pleasure and happiness that are keeping us afloat and latch on to the truth of that we deserve true liberation and freedom, true equality, true justice, true liberation. It is time for each and every one of us to step deeper into that. And I wanted to share this message and talk about this because I just, now more than ever, our voices are needed. Now more than ever, we need to unite. Now more than ever, we need to let go of the veil of illusion, of disconnection, and of separation. And I, for myself, I have been, and I will just share this because I just feel like it's important to share right now. Like, I have spent a lot of years being afraid to talk about stuff like this. Like, yeah, I talk about it a lot. Like, if you followed me, if you watch my videos, my content, anything, you know what I've been about for years now. I've been about this spiritual movement. What I've been on about equality, about kindness, love. I've been on this, but in a lot of ways, I've been so afraid to really dive deep into speaking about it, to really dive deep in just fully embodying that, because I feel like people wouldn't get it, or I feel like it was too much, or I feel like maybe I was delusional, maybe I was just making things up. But now more than ever, I feel so solidified in my faith and in my presence and in my power to speak about these things. And I hope and feel that that is also reflected in the people around me and in the world around me, that we're all feeling like, especially if you're on this spiritual path and you are a person that has some sort of spiritual enlightenment, to let us stop being afraid to speak about these things. It's time to let down those barriers, those guards of illusion that we've held within ourselves about life. And there are many people that I have been following for a long time that have been speaking about all of these type of things, that have been speaking about political injustice and societal injustice and spiritual awakening, and they haven't been afraid at all. They haven't been afraid at all. And now I look at them with so much courage and so much just like, wow, you've been a radical from the beginning. And I just, now more than ever, I recognize how I'm so thankful that I have been doing it as long as I have, but now more than ever, I just recognize that, like, no, it's time to let go of the mask of pretending that this is not all a spiritual existence and a spiritual change that is happening on the planet, and it's time to acknowledge it and recognize it and not be afraid to speak about it. And that's what I'm doing here in this video, is I'm talking about it. I'm sharing the gospel. I feel like sharing my gospel, sharing my truth, sharing my light, sharing in a way my darkness, sharing the truth of our existence, sharing the truth of the planet, sharing the truth of the shift that is happening right now that we are all a part of. And I want us all to recognize that we are all a part of the shift that is happening. Every single one of us has an innate power to revolutionize, to change, to heal, to evolve, to love. We all have the power to do so. And I want every single one of you watching this video to know that you are here for a reason, not just for yourself, not just for one another, for so many reasons beyond what you can fathom. You are here for a reason. And I want you to know that you have the power to make change in your life and in the life around you, and to make this world an even more beautiful place. It's time, people. It's time. It's been time. We've been doing it, and we're going to keep doing it. So this is your call to step deeper into the revolution. This is your call to step deeper into your awakening. This is your call to step deeper into politics and social justice. This is your call to step deeper into caring about your health and your emotions. This is your call to step deeper into caring about one another. This is your call to embody the frequency that you seek in the world. This is the call. It's been calling you for a long time, and it's time to answer. So I feel like I said everything that I needed to say. More videos to come. I feel so powered up and charged up to continue to talk about things like this. And if you have any questions for me, or you have specific topics, like especially on like spiritual topics that you want me to talk about, let me know, because your girl is happy to talk about it, especially now. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it brought you the light and the connection that you needed, and that maybe you didn't even know you needed, but you wanted. I hope you found it, and I hope you continue to find it, and I hope you continue to unite in this battle that we have already won, for justice, for peace, for equality, for love. And when you tap into your spirit and you tap into that love, you know that the battle is already won, because it's already won within your heart. We are the prophets that we seek. We are the truth that we seek. We are the light that we seek. We are the love that we seek. We are the frequency of a new beginning. So thank you so much again for watching this video. I am Geneva Rose. Make sure to find me on all social media. I'm very active on every social media platform: TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. You can find me on everything. Go ahead and follow me, Geneva Rose, and subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what you got from it. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.